We'll call the roll here in just a few moments. Want to state first that all post commissioners have previously agreed to recuse themselves from any vote that would constitute a conflict of interest. Most obvious of these would include issues that involve their own departments or some that they know personally. Because they've already agreed to do this, it should be noted that on routine matters, it will be assumed non-verbally that these commissioners have abstained from that vote. In bigger, more controversial issues that have a more overt conflict of interest, it may have an appearance of impropriety. Those applicable commissioners will still verbally abstain from those votes. We will start by taking the roll, and we're going to ask that the officers that are on this list just say here or present and raise your hand. If anybody is outside, please step in the room if you hear your name called. Ted Brindle. Ted Brindle. Eric Clum. Here. Robert Slatton. Robert Slatton. Here. Okay. Ali Ba. Memphis Police Department. Ali Ba. Holly McCaslin. Holly McCaslin. Michael Singleton. Here. Okay. Ryder Cook. Ryder Cook. Clint Cooper.
Legal inadvertently had that on the agenda. That was a mistake.
Okay, that was inadvertently added to the agenda. So we will strike that. Ronald Davis. Here. Thank you. Chad Garland. Present. Scott Greenwood. Here. Taylor James.
Here, sir.
Vincent Turissy.
He is not present. He has COVID. I spoke with staff earlier about him, but he is out with COVID diagnosed.
Has he previously had a continuance?
I'm sorry.
Has he previously had a continuance?
Has he had a continuance, sir?
He has had one continuance before I became involved with this case. And we did ask, in all openness, we did ask for continuance earlier, then got prepared for it and spoke with him yesterday. He showed me a positive COVID test and I advised him not to appear today if he was active COVID.
And we'll take that when it comes to it on the agenda. Brian White. Brian White. Okay, we will get started and we'll just go in the order on the agenda for those that are present. We'll begin with the Coffee County Sheriff's Office. Eric Bradley Clum. Mr. Clum was submitted for decertification based on his termination. Do we have a representative from the Sheriff's Office here?
Sheriff Parton called. He was on his way and stuck in traffic.
Okay.
He may be here, not be here. I think Mr. Platt has got an attorney present as well, that may want to address the commission.
We'll just, if y'all are agreeable to it, we'll just move this down.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Director, if you want to identify who's on the committee.
We don't have a voting.
Okay, fantastic. So let's determine who's going to vote. We got into this the last time. So,
Commissioner Wright and I are.
right. So out of the remaining three, who would like the third vote? Okay.
I'll go with Mr. Green.
Thank you very much. Just a little rusty.
And Deputy Commissioner, just for the record, the Eric Clum matter might be a status. He's not had an informal because he's had pending litigation, but he's never entered into litigation.
Okay. Would the informal committee like to go ahead and take that up then? Is this a status?
Yes, I can tell you that it's still in litigation.
Would you identify yourself?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Brandon Hall of Nashville Bar. That matter is still in litigation. We have a current trial date that is set in Knoxville from August 19th to the 21st. Could go a day or two longer than that, but that's when it's currently set for trial.
Motion to move it to the August agenda.
So motion to move to the August agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
So typically what we do in these cases is your client willing to sign a voluntary suspension of his post certification? It would be pending the outcome of the litigation.
Yes, he would be willing to do that.
Okay, so we have a motion to move this to the August agenda. And so when we get to that point, if we don't have that, then we'll have the hearing.
Okay.
So we need to make sure that you all coordinate with our legal team to be able to get that worked out.
Yes, that's fine.
So we have a motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. All those in favor of moving this to the August agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Jasper Police Department, Robert Wade Slatton. Mr. Slatton was submitted for decertification based on his suspension for 30 days or longer. Do we have a representative of the Jasper Police Department? Yes. You would, sir, step up to the podium and give us your name and rank for the record, and then tell us why we are here today.
Billy Mason, Jasper Police Department, Police Chief. We're here for Wade Slatton with suspension. He ended up going through a divorce, and he had a order of protection put on him from I think it was April the 12th until June the 23rd, and the stipulations still are that if he has any handguns, they have to be put away. He has a toximeter that he has to blow on for his visitation, and the only way that he can carry a gun is if he stays certified. I've had talks with him about what I feel is a drinking problem. He's called in sick for work and been witnessed going to a convenience store, buying alcohol. In the reports that I sent in, I had one incident where we were in the football playoffs, and I had sent out a text message that I needed everybody to work because we were shorthanded. We were 3 people short. He sent me a text message, said he was sick, sent me a photo of a teledoc from Texas. And then later I found out he was in Gatlinburg, where him and his girlfriend got an altercation after leaving the bar, and she vandalized his pickup truck. I later had a call on him from a text message that stated, I think it was Monday, that Sunday night that him and his girlfriend had had an altercation that I needed to do a welfare check on. Wednesday, I went to his residence, knocked on the door. He came to the door. It looked like he had some scratches on his throat, and I asked him if there had been an altercation, and he said, no, they were fine. Well, I asked to speak to his girlfriend, Alyssa, and he said, okay. So he went inside to get her, and he came back out and said she didn't feel good. She didn't want to come out. And I told him I basically wasn't going to leave until I got to talk to her, see her. When she come out, she had her left eye was black. She had a bruise on her temple, had a busted lip, and had some bruising around her throat. I then informed Mr. Slatton that he was going to be suspended due investigation. So I collected all of his weapons, his patrol car, his service iron, his rifle, and took it back to the PD, called the sheriff's department, inquired about somebody that was independent to come in. They got in touch with George Dyer with the DA's office. He came in and done an interview with both of them. When we done the the inventory of his weapon and everything that we had, we service all the ammo, the service weapon and everything. He had 4 rounds of his service weapon that were certified that we gave as far as rounds. And supposedly in the text message I got, his weapon was discharged during this altercation.
I have a question. Is the DA's office pursuing charges?
They tried, but the Alyssa would not testify against him.
Any further questions for the chief from our subcommittee? All right, chief, if you would have a seat, we may call you back up. Yes, sir. Mr. Slatton?
Yes, sir.
If you would, for the record, please identify yourself and also give us your side of this.
My name's Robert Slatton. As far as the 4 shells from my service weapon, nothing was counted in front of me, so I don't know what happened to those. I didn't have nothing to do with that. Yes, we did have an altercation up in Gatlinburg, an argument. We got separated. As far as what happened in my truck, I don't know. I wasn't there. As far as the altercation at my house, we didn't have no fight. I have pictures of her from that day, if you would like to see those.
Did you discharge your weapon during that fight?
No, ma'am. I was showing my girlfriend how to unload a weapon, my personal weapon, from my vehicle so we could take it in the house. She accidentally discharged it.
So the weapon was discharged, but you say you don't know what happened to the 4 rounds?
The service weapon was not discharged, my personal weapon. My service weapon stays in my house.
So what do you say in answer to Chief's statement that there were 4 rounds that weren't authorized?
I don't know where those went to. Nothing was counted in front of me when they took my stuff, so I don't know. I just heard about that like 2 weeks after they come and got my stuff.
Commissioner Green. When the chief asked you to report to work and you said you were sick, but you were in Gatlinburg, is that true?
Yes, sir.
So you lied to your chief?
I wasn't feeling well, but I did have a doctor's note, yes.
But you felt well enough to go to Gatlinburg,
Yes, we went up there, yes.
go to the bar, have some drinks, get in an altercation
We
with
went to a restaurant.
felt pretty good. No, honesty is a huge issue within law.
I understand I've made mistakes. I know it.
So the question is, credibility wise, why should we believe you today?
I'm not sure, sir. I know
Because your nature is to lie, isn't it?
not necessarily, no. I had been through a divorce and I was having some stressful stuff going on in my life, and yes, we went up there and I'll get off again.
And the DA was going to prosecute, so there must have been evidence of an assault. Just because the victim didn't want to prosecute, didn't mean it didn't happen.
No, we did not have a fist fight. No, we did not have an altercation. We had an argument.
How'd you get the marks on?
We had
Go ahead.
sexual relations. And there wasn't no marks on her face. I've got a picture of it. There was marks on her arms.
Who found the
And there
order
was
of
a mark
protection
underneath.
against you? Who found the order of protection against you?
My ex-wife.
Was that because of physical altercation there that didn't happen?
No. That was because I got suspended from work for all this. That's all I got.
Commissioner Wright, great point on the credibility, and for that, I'm gonna make a motion to decertify.
Commissioner Green, I'll second.
We have a motion to decertify and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve the decertification request, say aye. Those opposed, say no. Hearing none, motion carries. Our investigator will tell you next steps, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys.
The board have anything else for me?
No, sir, chief, you're good to go. Thank you. All right, moving on to the Millersville Police Department. Michael Singleton. Mr. Singleton was submitted for decertification based on his termination. Sir, if you would, for the record, identify yourself by name and rank and tell us why we're here.
Yes, sir. My name is Stephen Hill. I'm the police chief for the city of Millersville.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. On June 21st of this year, Officer Singleton and another officer responded to a domestic violence call at 100 Lewis Drive in Gillisville. The incident resulted in arrest on a outstanding warrant. No criminal charges were pursued by the victim, and body worn cameras were activated during the service call. However, on the next day, the victim's sister filed a complaint through the Sumner County Emergency Communications Center. She reported that Officer Singleton had returned to the residence alone. When he returned, he had his body camera turned off, and he also didn't notify dispatch that he was there. While there, he made repeated sexually explicit comments, displayed an image of male genitalia from his personal home, and later sent inappropriate text messages using his department-issued device. Officer Singleton admitted to much of this conduct during our interview with him. He acknowledged the explicit conversation, the use of his department phone, and that he had permanently deleted the text regarding between him and the female victim. He confirmed that he initiated the follow-up without any formal documentation or even any supervision at that time. There was also talk during there that there was reference of a sundress season where when he made traffic stops, if a female was wearing a sundress, they would receive preferential treatments during that traffic stop, where they would receive a warning. Our investigation concluded that Officer Singleton's actions represented a serious breach of professional standards, violated department policy, and undermined public trust. We present these findings for your review and just requesting decertification.
Any questions from the subcommittee? Chief, you would have to and then maybe probably back up. Mr. Singleton. You would, for the record, just state your name and tell us your side.
Michael Singleton. So I went to a verbal domestic party. The fiance he called, he thought his female fiance was gonna call 911 and he didn't want to go to jail. For his identification, he had a warrant out of another county for something. I took him in. When I took him in, he was like, "Hey, can you check on her for me?" I'm like, I don't know, probably. And then they came, I took my party, asked them like, "Hey, go check on her for the fiance purposes." He said, "Don't do that, do this." I said, "Okay, fine, I'll do it as a person. I'll talk to a person." So I went there, talked to her, she invited me in. We had conversations. We talked about death, mental health, suicide, kids, alcoholism. Talk about military, talk about she want to join law enforcement. Yeah, we had conversations, and she had asked me what type of what's one of the stops that you don't like doing. I told her, in summertime when you love women, they like to flash you, and then I just get uncomfortable, say have a good day, and I'll leave. That was it. She said I showed her a picture. I told her I did, and I gave her my phone. I locked my phone. I gave the technicality, my open file, my hidden photo. I'm like, "You can take it. I'm gonna show her, ask her which one it is." He didn't believe me, so I'm like, okay, I know where this going. So I told them what they wanted to hear, to be honest. Been in Millersville since October 2023, got terminated sometime in June, end of June. So
From the subcommittee.
How long have you worked for Millersville?
October of 2023 to June.
Were you on duty when you went by to check on this female?
Yes, sir.
Conversation you had with her was while you were working?
Yes, sir.
Why did you turn your body cam on?
I never had it on.
That would be, why didn't you have it on?
I went personally. I felt like me talking to her personally, if I don't body cam on, I felt like I was gonna ask incriminating questions, so I felt like I didn't have to at the time.
But you were on duty.
Yes, sir.
Does your policy require you to have it on when you have a confrontation with an individual while you're working?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you violated that policy.
Yes, sir.
What inappropriate photograph was on your phone?
She said I showed her a penis picture. So I gave the detective my personal phone and allowed it to show him my picture so he could take it to a show that asked her which one that is.
Who did you show that picture to?
Detective Michael Garland.
And it was on your departmental issue file?
No, my personal phone. I love my personal phone with my personal pictures, gave it to him. I said, you have the code, you can go ask her which one it is.
And this victim that you had this conversation with, what was her relationship to the person you arrested?
She said that was her fiance. He said boyfriend. Yes, he took her out that day to drink. She got too intoxicated and became violent, and he stayed. She drank called 911, so he beat her to the punch, and that's how it started.
And he's the one that asked you to go by and see her?
Yes, sir.
That's all I've got.
This is Commissioner Wilbur. Where are you working now?
I'm not working. I'm still trying to find a job to feed my family. So, currently, I finally got mental health. So that's. So after I got fired, day 2, I was like, you know what? Life ain't worth it. I was gonna drive off the bridge in Clarksville, Tennessee into the river. Nobody can find me. At least my family have insurance money to live on. So, I mean, that was my choice of option after that.
Commissioner Wright. So are you still battling those mental health issues?
Yes, sir. I showed signs of it at the department. I also watched fellow officers' mental health deteriorate. When I graduated last year in March, I had a partner for a couple of months. I got put on my own. I felt like I wasn't knowledgeable. I felt like I was dumb. To be honest with you, after graduating academy, I didn't know much about law enforcement, no mentor. Military got 4 miles of I-65. There's multiple times where, more than multiple times, I worked calls and nobody come out to help me. I was on days. After a while, it was to the point where I started counting hours. My mental health deteriorated. I was like, if I just leave work, I'm tired of life, leave work, I can put the bullets in my head, run off and do something. Never got written up, saved life before. Just missed October 2023. Worked on my own last year, like I wasn't knowledgeable, don't know much about law enforcement. Compared to a few of my friends, they graduated, they go through another extensive FTO program. I never had a chance to do that. I got put on my own and they told me the city is yours.
Are you still seeking mental health?
The VA finally got back to me after, of course, the VA after 4 months. So I got a phone call en route today to schedule my mental health.
And I don't wish you good luck on the mental health side, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to make a motion for decertification based on some attorney issues.
I understand, sir.
Commissioner Wilbur, second.
We have a motion to approve the request for decertification and a proper second. Any further discussion amongst the subcommittee? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Hearing none, motion carries. Our investigator will tell you next steps, sir. Moving on. Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Ronald Davis. Mr. Davis was submitted for decertification based on his termination. A representative of the Department of Safety, please step to the podium. Sir, if you would identify yourself by name and rank and tell us why we're here.
Richard Teachout, Sergeant with Office of Professional Accountability, work with Highway Patrol.
Go ahead, sir.
On September 14, 2024, former trooper Ronald Davis and his trainee they conducted a traffic stop on a speeding vehicle. The trainee got out of the car, greeted the driver, notified him of the reason for the stop. During the trainee's interaction, the driver denied having anything to drink. So the trainee returned to his vehicle. Mr. Davis stayed up there with the driver, continued to talk to him, told the driver he seemed nervous, pupils were large, his eyes appeared glassy. Mr. Davis asked the driver when was the last time they had alcohol to drink? He replied, today around 8 o'clock. So Mr. Davis checked the driver's eyes with a quick finger motion to the right for nystagmus for further indicators. Mr. Davis at that point went back to the patrol vehicle and told his trainee the driver was hammered, had instant nystagmus, and needed to administer standardized field sobriety tests. The trainee walked the driver to a nearby church pavilion to conduct the test due to the weather. It was raining pretty hard at the time. While the trainee was given instructions for the HGN test for the elongated nystagmus, Mr. Davis received a call from former trooper Ashley Smith and walked away to speak to her on the phone, leaving the trainee to conduct the test by himself. While Mr. Davis answered the phone, you can hear it on his body worn camera that he was asking her if that was her going by. And then directed her to his location. As she pulled in, he muted his body camera. Mr. Davis and Miss Smith had a muted conversation off to the side where her car was, leaving the trainee still up there with the driver. Mr. Davis learned during this discussion with Miss Smith that the driver was her nephew. Miss Smith told Mr. Davis that she would take the driver home if he was not bad and was released so that he wouldn't have to worry about the driver crashing or killing someone. Mr. Davis walked back over and interrupted the trainee who was given instructions on the walk and turn test so that he could recheck the driver's eyes. During Mr. Davis's interview with our department, he stated that he observed an early onset of nystagmus prior to 45 degrees, and he presumed the driver had a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08 to 1.0. At that point, Mr. Davis had his trainee step to the side with him and mute his body worn camera as well. Mr. Davis told his trainee that since they already had a DUI arrest that night, they didn't have to have another one because the driver was Miss Smith's family. Mr. Davis told the department during the interview that he was trying to give Miss Smith a break because she was having a bad night and he felt sorry for her. So the trainee asked Mr. Davis what he wanted him to do. He was told to go back, recheck the driver's eyes, and if the driver only had one or two clues and wasn't hammered or falling over, he could cut him loose, even though the trainee had previously observed behaviors and clues indicating that he needed to continue this field sobriety testing. Mr. Davis admitted to the department during his interview that his intentions was to have the trainee cut the driver loose to help Ms. Smith out. That she did not ask for a break, but on his own intentions, that he decided to help her out. So after the muted conversation with his trainee, Mr. Davis returned to Ms. Smith's vehicle, and while his trainee conducted another HGN test on the driver. After the test was performed, the trainee told the driver that since he only had one HGN clue, he could return to his vehicle and have a good night. A short time later, Sergeants Tyler Milam and Courtney Ivy arrived at the scene. They were working that night as well. Mr. Davis told Sergeant Milam the driver had all 6 clues to the HGN test and asked him what he should do. After a quick debriefing with Mr. Davis, the sergeant directed that the remaining field sobriety test must be performed on the driver. At that point, it was determined that Ms. Smith had left the scene with the driver in her patrol car. Supervisors, the sergeants contacted Ms. Smith and instructed her to return to the driver immediately to the scene. So Ms. Smith brought the driver back to the stop location. The trainee conducted full field sobriety test at that point, and the driver was arrested for DUI. The alcohol report was issued by TBI on October 17, 24, reported a 0.269 BAC. that case was nullied in court due to the circumstances of everything surrounding the incident that night where Mr. Davis allowed the intoxicated driver to leave the scene. They didn't feel it was comfortable to prosecute that in court. So that was nullied on 11/18/24. Mr. Davis was terminated for his actions and lack of action that reflected negatively upon him in the Tennessee Highway Patrol. His actions placed professional integrity into question. So he was terminated, but since his termination, he filed an appeal through the appeal process. Mr. Davis's status was changed from termination to resignation in lieu of termination upon an agreement.
Yes, Commissioner Green, what happened to Trooper Smith?
That's still ongoing. She was terminated as well, but that's still in the process.
Thank you.
To your line, your question, she was also submitted for decertification. I think she's set to come before us in September.
Any other questions for the representative of the Department of Safety?
Thank you.
Mr. Davis?
Good afternoon. My name is Miranda McAllister. I've been retained to represent Mr. Davis. I'm from Jackson, Tennessee, the Donahoe firm. From our end of this, Mr. Davis served on the Highway Patrol for 13 years. And in 13 years, he progressed in his career. He became a field training officer. He became a drug recognition expert. He is an expert in DUI enforcement for the state. He's received various accolades from MAD and everything else. That's why he was training Trooper Harris. Trooper Harris was in his, I believe, third phase of FTO and had not yet gotten a DUI arrest. That is why they placed him with Trooper Davis, so that he could get the training that he needed in field sobriety and how to conduct a DUI stop, because he just simply hadn't had one yet. So from that perspective, Trooper Harris was under a lot of pressure to make a DUI arrest, in all honesty, because that's what he needed to get off of FTO. Earlier that night, they had already made another DUI arrest at the time of this second traffic stop. When you read through the termination document, there are various things that are used as the primary points to support a termination of Mr. Davis. A few of those being that he muted the body worn camera while he spoke with other officers at various times throughout this whole stop. What's interesting to me is the Highway Patrol's policy at 712-1 actually verbatim says the body worn camera shall not be used to record communications with other law enforcement personnel. So I'm not sure how that relates to making an issue about the camera being muted while he spoke with other officers. It sounds to me, at least based on the plain language of the policy, that's the policy. You're not supposed to record talking to other officers. I believe there's no dispute about what was said between Trooper Davis and Trooper Smith. She maintained, from my understanding, that she never asked for assistance and he never said he was going to give it one way or the other that night. She remained inside her patrol car, from what I understand, the entire time. What else is very interesting is that nowhere in the termination document that I saw for Mr. Davis does it mention that Trooper Smith was actually in the post with two supervisors before she left to go to where her nephew had called and said he was pulled over. Trooper Davis did not contact Trooper Smith to say, I've got your family member coming over, come over here. That's not what happened. She got a call from somebody else while she's in the office with her supervisors, and she leaves in a hurry. And if you read through the actual investigative file on the case, that caused alarm to the supervisors because of how she had reacted. So they call her and ask her where she's going. And she says, well, I'm going to where my family member's pulled over. From what I understand, they didn't tell her don't go. They just went after her, chased after her. By the time they got there, she's already on scene with Trooper Davis. And there's no question there's a conversation that occurred between them, and that Trooper Davis then went up and checked for himself the HGM on that driver. Trooper Davis stepped back and allowed Trooper Harrison to continue on with what he was doing. And there's a lot made about him detaching and stepping back, but keeping in mind, this is a third phase trainee. This is somebody that's one step short of being released completely on their own. There's a lot of mention about him admitting during an OPA interview that he had felt sorry for Trooper Smith and would give her a break if he could. That's what he said because that's what he meant. But what it means to give somebody a break, that nobody asked what that meant. That could mean I let your family member come get your car. That could mean I release your personal belongings to somebody else. That does not mean I'm going to let a drunk driver go. And his 13-year career shows that he's never done that, never been accused of doing that, and didn't do that on this night. So Mr. Davis is here and he's ready to answer any questions that you all have from his perspective about what went on.
Commissioner Green, Mr. Davis,
Yes, sir.
so you're FTO during this time?
Yes, sir.
The other trooper was under your tutelage
Yes, sir.
and you were to show him how to handle a DUI arrest?
Yes, sir.
Is that how you handle a DUI arrest?
Better explain.
Well, let the driver leave with somebody else,
Sir,
not make an arrest?
I never told him at any given time to allow that driver to get in the vehicle with anyone.
But you were
Never told him
present.
that.
Did you watch the person get in the other car?
No, sir, I didn't. I never knew he left the scene. As the guy was walking back, once apparently he was released, he dropped his ball cap, which you can see it on the body cam. He dropped his cap. I stopped right beside him. I asked him, I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "That little guy." He told me I was free to go back to my truck, free to go. I told him to stand right there beside. I had a trooper this close to me. I told him to stand beside him. I'll be right back with him. I go up, talk to Trooper Harrison, ask him what he say, and he said, "Well, I did what you did or told me to." I checked his eyes. I didn't see a lot of his eyes, so I told him to go stand by his truck. That's not what I told him to do. Go tell him to go stand by his truck. So I told him, I said, "Okay, we need to do the rest of the test." We both turn around. The guy's walking off. Sergeant Milam, he's walking up. Landon's still there. I asked Landon, I said, "Where's he going?" He said, "I don't know." He said he was free to go. Nobody offered to stop him. There was 6 troopers, 2 sergeants on the scene. No one offered to stop him while I was speaking to Harrison. We go back. I'm talking to Milam. He asked if he's impaired or not, or drunk or not. And I said, "I don't know. All we've done is checked his eyes so far." He said that we needed to do the rest of the test. Landon McFall, he goes back to the guy's vehicle, tries to get him out of the vehicle. He's not in there. He's gone. No one on scene apparently saw him leave with his aunt. No one there witnessed that.
Is that not considered a safety issue to just let a guy just disappear? I mean, you turned your back on him, the rookie turned his back on him, nobody watched where he went. Is that not an officer safety issue?
Sir, I can see your standpoint on it. Normally, when we're on scene with multiple officers,
Evidently, nobody cared.
that's exactly right. No one did. Everybody watched him just walk
We
right
got 6
past him.
troopers dead on the side of the road because nobody paid any attention to
6
this guy.
troopers and 2 supervisors, and everybody allowed him to walk right past. When we turned back around, Landon said, "If you've been put in any kind of spot," he said, "I'll handle this." And I told him, I said, "No." I said, "If the guy's impaired, I will arrest him myself if he needs to go to jail." So we go to looking for the person. He's gone, obviously. So we get a hold of Ashley. She brings him back. We conduct the rest of the field sobriety. And then at that time, he's placed under arrest. His field sobriety did not correlate with any 269. When I checked his eyes, and I've checked 3 to 5 people's eyes a night, I do it the same exact way. I got angle of onset out almost even with his shoulders. Speed between a 08 and 10. I did not get a 269. That would have been pretty instant in his eyes. And I didn't get that on the onset of nystagmus.
I can understand missing that, misjudging the level of intoxication. But I am concerned about the safety issue and lapse of judgment there. Especially as an FTO,
I do
trying to
understand.
train a rookie that nobody paid any attention to the person that should have been in your custody, even if you're doing a field sobriety and they're outside the car.
I do understand that. And the OPA guys, they made that.
I'm sure they did.
They stated it to me also that I should have kept him with me in Harrison, not rely on anybody else to handle it. But
This is Commissioner Wilbur. It says here that you told the rookie trainee that since they already had a DUI arrest last night, they didn't need another one because the drunk driver was related to Miss Smith. Is that a correct statement? Did you say that?
what I was meaning by that whole statement is he's already had a prior DUI arrest. He was sent down on an extension phase of FTO because he's yet to make a DUI arrest. So once he came down to me, we got out, we got him DUI pretty early in the night. I didn't agree with it 100%. The guy was close. I just didn't want him to make the same mistake on this suspect, being that he was kin to a trooper or any other officer or anybody for that fact. He needs to make a good judgment on a DUI. So all I was telling him is you've already got a number tonight to get them off your back of FTO or as a trainee. Make a good judgment on him. Don't just pull the trigger and say, hey, you're going to jail for DUI just to get that number. That's not what we're out there for. We're trying to get good DUIs. So by that whole statement, I was trying to get him just to do the right thing, check the guy's eyes, check him out. If he needs to go to jail, sure, take him to jail. But don't try to get one close just to satisfy the state and get a number.
Did you tell him not to conduct SFST?
What was that, man?
Did you ask him not to conduct SFSTs?
He was, after he went up and rechecked his eyes, he was supposed to actually come back to me and we're going to talk about everything, see what he had. Then we're going to go there with everything else. The one person heard every word I said, was never investigated by OPA, was Trooper Sledge. He will vouch today on everything I said prior to the guy being released or whatever happened to him. And then when Trooper Harrison came back to speak to me, he told me he did not release him. He stated that he told him just go stand at his truck and would be back with him after we talked. We went back, watched his body cam. He actually told him to have a good night, which is releasing him. But no, I never did tell him to release that guy at any given time.
Commissioner Wright, a few things. It seems to me like you're trying to separate yourself from being the person in charge of that scene, but you were the one that was a field training officer for a trooper in third phase that made the traffic stop. So that makes you the person that was responsible for that traffic stop and everything that happens in that traffic stop, regardless of who else shows up.
Yes, sir.
Is that not true?
Yes, sir.
When you had the first impressions from the driver that he was hammered, and then you went back, how did your impressions that he was hammered to, how did that change?
The impression of the guy just sitting there in the vehicle, he was just kind of holding the steering wheel, looking straight ahead. He just appeared to me as a highly intoxicated driver at that time. Once we got him out of the vehicle and I walked up to the pavilion to conduct the field sobriety, he was walking fine, he was talking fine, he acted completely normal at that time. He didn't seem like an impaired driver. And I never saw him really, especially a 269. Most 269s are falling all over the place. This guy wasn't like that.
I understand. And
that's how it changed. Once I got out and spoke to the subject, going up to the pavilion, talking to him and just watching him, I mean, he didn't seem impaired.
If I may, Commissioner, on the termination document, I don't know if you guys have access to that, but footnote number 6 on there says that the district attorney, Candy Sloan, dismissed the case against the suspect, even though the TBI result returned to .269 due to Trooper Smith leaving the scene and returning with the suspect for his arrest. Furthermore, the results of the SFSTs did not correlate with the level of intoxication indicated by .269. So I called, which I understand that would be hearsay, but I called and spoke with this district attorney. I deal with her often. And she said exactly what he's saying. Watching the video, it didn't match. Watching his performance on field sobriety, the .269 result didn't match with the performance. It didn't make sense even from that perspective.
Me first seeing him, he appeared intoxicated, like he's just really impaired. But after speaking to him, walking with him, I changed my view of it pretty quick on it.
it seems hard for me to believe that a person that is drug recognition expert and 13 years on patrol, doing great in DUIs, totally miss that high of a level. I mean, there are people that are basically professional drinkers that can handle their alcohol per se. And it sounds like he had a prior DUI before, so it sounds like he probably was one of those people.
I spoke with a few people that's related to him. Another one was a Matt Kitty, another trooper. He stated the same thing. He's always walking around at 1-2 or so. He said he's always drinking.
You learned that after the fact.
I did. I had no clue of who this guy was. And I know it probably doesn't help, but I did arrest the same trooper's sister maybe a year prior to that. And I had no issues with that. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're impaired, you need to go to jail for it. And that's how I've always seen it.
Commissioner Wilbur, again, did you say you wanted to give Trooper Smith a break because she was having a bad day?
I was just, if
Did
there was
you say
any,
it?
I can't remember the exact terminology I used, but if there was any way I could have helped her out with, like she was saying, taking the vehicle home or anything else, but I never intended to try to help her out with letting her impaired driver leave the scene. I never intended on doing that at any given time. If he was released, she wanted to take him home, that's on her, that's not on me. But if he's released, he's free to drive. He really doesn't need a drive or a ride.
She would not be the one that could release him because it's your traffic stop.
That's what I'm saying, sir. If he was released by me or anyone else, he's free to leave. He doesn't need a ride at that time, is what I'm saying. So there's no reason for her to actually take off with him. She never asked me to release him. I never told her I was releasing him or doing anything in that nature. She never came up and told me that she was leaving with him or anyone else on the scene.
Commissioner Liggins, if I may, when Trooper Davis brought him back, who conducted the field sobriety assessment?
Trooper, you mean Trooper Smith?
Trooper Smith, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Trooper Harrison conducted the field sobriety.
Were you present when that was being conducted?
I was. At that time, his field sobriety still wasn't bad. I tried to take kind of a totality of circumstance in the way they're acting, talking mentally, physically, everything about it before. I just don't base it off of one thing. According to OPA, if I do all 3 tests, he gives me 2 clues, he needs to go to jail for DUI. I don't see it that way. I think you need to take everything, the whole situation into consideration before you make that decision, because that's ruining somebody's livelihood and do that.
So this is Commissioner Green. What was the initial reason for the stop?
Don't quote me on the speed, but it's around 43 and a 35. That was
Did
the
you
reason.
observe any weaving or anything that was inappropriate?
I can't recall. I think we're actually meeting him and observed him on the radar.
As in crossing, not
Yeah,
line.
What led you to believe that he was intoxicated, other than the fact you were hunting DUIs? Because I got that kind of impression that you'd already gotten one, you were trying to get him a DUI. You got one that you thought was questionable, which to me, that comes into hunting, and that's a concern for me too, that you're just doing anything to get one. And then you said it was kind of questionable whether it was a DUI or not, but you arrested him anyway. So what made you even think this was a DUI rather than just a traffic stop, not a ticket?
That's all it was at first, sir. But once I went up and spoke to him, just the way he was standing there, just staring kind of straight ahead, just seemed very nervous. Once Harrison went back, he told him he hadn't had anything to drink. After I conducted the rest of my investigation at the window, just trying to build a case, he just seemed nervous. I started talking to him more. I just did one quick pass just to see if he had any nystagmus in his eyes, and of course he did. And that's the reason we got him out. So when I'm working midnights like that, I try to stop them normally 5+ over, tail lights, tag lights, any kind of
Start
thing.
this investigation. I can interrupt you, but you start this investigation. Trooper Smith shows up, said that he's already had some problem. should lead you to believe there's an issue there and she wants to take him home. Right?
She never said he had any problem.
But she wants to take him away.
She just said if he was released, if he's not bad, or we're to the point that we're releasing him, that she would take him just to keep him off the road, but there's no reason to at that time. If he's released, I mean, he's free to drive.
So if somebody registers, you do make an arrest, you charge them with DUI, and it comes back and it's less than .08. What normally happens here in Davidson County or whatever county it is you're prosecuting? Get reduced to reckless driving because of impairment?
It depends based off their field sobriety and everything, like the totality of it.
The answer would be probably yes.
Yeah.
So the fact that she showed up impaired your judgment as to what to do with the individual driving, didn't it?
I don't think she impaired my judgment. I think
It influenced it, didn't
I
it?
think what she didn't influence me as far as doing any kind of field sobriety. I take every situation, I try to do everything the same way. What influenced me and kind of got me off my games when I had 3 troopers going by at probably 100 miles per hour. Then my phone starts blowing up and then 600.
Coming to you.
What now?
They were coming to you, right? Because she was there.
Yes, and I didn't know what was going on, but I saw 3 troopers go by, wide open, no lights, no anything on. Then they come back through, my phone's blowing up. And then total, at the end of it, we had, I think, 4 other troopers show up and 2 supervisors show up, and it kind of threw me a loop.
Commissioner Wilbur, did you do anything wrong that night? Anything against policy? Are you willing to say you did anything wrong that night?
I didn't cut my body cam back on after speaking, I think, with Trooper Ashley Smith. I didn't turn it back on. Like I said, I was kind of lost at that point with everything going on. It kind of got me off my game. So yes, I didn't turn it back on until a little bit later on. Don't know the exact times, but I turned it back on at some point. And I should have stayed a little closer to the trainee, but I was told prior to that, with the female that I was training prior to that I was staying too close, handling too much business. They wanted me to back up, give some distance, let them handle business. So I stayed about 20 feet away. That's probably the max I was away, 22 feet. And I honestly didn't think anything was wrong with that, but apparently I should have stayed up close to. But when the guy got out of my sight, left the scene, yes, that means on me. He should have never done that. If I could go back, that would never happen. I would have made him stay right there with me and had Harrison to come to me versus just letting him stand beside another trooper. I just thought the other troopers on the scene would have my back and actually keep him. I never expected him to leave while that many troopers right there on the scene watching him.
Commissioner Wright, I'm gonna circle back here to the investigation part that you was initially conducting. And the reason why is because I think that's where this hinges, is whether you were doing this in a favor for the trooper or if your mind truly changed during that investigation, which being a drug recognition expert, again, still hard to believe that 269 can be standing in front of them and not be catching any of those clues. I'm not saying you can't have it, but it just seems a little out for me. But during your investigation with this driver, when you was at the window, obviously you just asked him, where you coming from? Where you been? Have you had anything to drink? Were those all questions that you were asking at the time?
I think I've asked him where he was coming from. He stated McDonald's, I believe, getting a Happy Meal or something.
I guess my question is, did he give you any indication during that investigation that you was doing with the driver at that time that he had, well, yeah, I left the bar, I had one beer tonight, or did he admit anything at the window that?
He stated they had 3 beer earlier that night around either 7 or 8 o'clock, which was 3 or 4 hours prior to that. I think that's the time frame that he gave me. And he talked kind of slow, but it wasn't really a slurred speech. It was just kind of slow. But he speaks like that every day. It's just his normal speech.
This is Commissioner Green. I'm gonna make a motion to decertify. I think there's too many issues here, a lapse of judgment,
There are, Commissioner Wright.
And I'm in a limbo there too. But there's some safety issues. You let a 13-year veteran on a DUI back and forth with a trainee about what he's supposed to be doing on a field sobriety test, knowing that people that may have a higher competency with alcohol, and then to leave with somebody else and then come back that interfered with the investigation. I just have a problem with it.
I can see where he could have potentially gotten distracted during all that time with the supervisor still showing up. Still, as I pointed out, I mean, it's his stop. It's his stop. He's the one responsible. Yes, sir, period. I have another question. Do you have any prior disciplinary actions with highway patrol?
I believe I had.
There are two.
I'd really like him to answer if he could.
I don't have the paper in front of me, but I do believe there was two. One of them was from I think it was a pursuit. Maybe where my air or the siren and stuff kept kicking on and off, which I had a wire. I think it was a Chevy Caprice that I had. You turn a curve to the right, it would actually cut off, and come to find out there was
I'm familiar with them.
okay, but there was a wire that was actually spliced on when it went over. It was touching the metal, grounded out, and it would kick off and come back on. And I think I let my camera run like 90 something or 50 something seconds at the end instead of the full minute for general order. But all that was just a written warning on it, or verbal warning, I can't remember. And then the other one was off of a crash that I was working. I think it was a chair that fell out of a vehicle and hit a car. The guy comes back, he's running his mouth to the lady, causes just being disorderly at roadside. I pull up to the scene. He's cussing her, just causing a big scene. I'm trying to get him to calm down, just being nice, not doing it. So I raise my voice, get a little ill towards him. He calls and files a complaint on me. My body cam wasn't on that day because I just got called. I was headed to the house. I already had it powered off on charger. And when I went back to the scene, didn't have anything on. But then when OPA called me for the investigation, I told him everything that I said that day, the guy, everything he stated, hours matched. So it's just a verbal warning on it. I've never been written up, coaching sessions, anything in the way that I've conducted any other business in the highway patrol. Everybody's always told me how I did good on my field sobriety, how I've done good on all my stops. Everything that I was doing DUI related has been good.
Had you been a field training officer prior to that?
That night?
Or prior to in the years previous classes that have came through, had you been an FTO for them?
I want to think or say I was an FTO maybe a year. I've had 3, 4, maybe 5 people total, which was just one phase with them. And then I had that one. That was the last one. I never had any issues other than they said I was taking too much action, staying too close, doing too much, instead of allowing the trainee to do more work.
I guess I'm kind of hinging on
And
the integrity of,
And this is-
pressure from the Trooper Smith or.
this is in the statement that came back, that we were provided. It said Trooper Davis, you and Trooper Harrison Lamas went to the hardened post to drop evidence. Trooper Harrison Lamas said something to you like, don't ask about trying to help someone out again. At some point that night, you even told that trooper it was all your fault. You should never ask him to do anything. And you told OPA it was a stupid decision, a very stupid decision. You really screwed up everything on that traffic stop. So again, it goes back to his judgment and working with a rookie. That's what's in here. And I've not heard anything that really contradicts that.
Sir, the issue Harrison had was when I came up and stopped him during field sobriety. He stated that I should have never did that. And I agreed with him. I told him I should have never stopped you, just let you conduct a business like normal. That's why I said that I screwed up and stopped. I should have never went up there. I should have never did anything else after he started his field sobriety and just allowed Harrison to do his job. And then if it's something that I didn't see, then I could have stopped him at that time.
That's
But I have
a lapse of judgment, right?
Yes, sir, but I have interfered with other trainees during field sobriety. When I see something they're not doing right or how they're conducting, I have stopped them and spoke with them and tried to get them corrected on things during their field sobriety. So it's not really something that I've never done, but Harrison, he didn't like it.
I'm gonna be. I know we got a motion on the floor. I don't know whether they carry or not, but. It's not gonna be a second thing. Sorry, I understand.
Commissioner Wilbur, second.
We have a motion for decertification by Commissioner Green and a second by Commissioner Wilbur. Any further discussion amongst commissioners on this one?
I understand Commissioner Wright's issues, but as a field training officer, the lapse of judgment, both in the potential interference, safety issues, not doing what he was out there to do, and however the influence came, whether it was Trooper Smith or lapse of judgment, I feel like it's borderline incompetence. So that's my emotion.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that. If anything was different than if this did not make it, I'd just be making a motion to go to the commission. Definitely wouldn't be letting it go.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other comments? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve the request for decertification, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Hearing the result of that, motion carries. And the motion decertification is approved. Our investigator will give you all next steps, information on next steps.
Thank you.
Actually, Assistant Director Bello is going to meet with y'all. If y'all just meet with him right outside.
Mr. Secretary.
Yes, sir.
About 2 more of these patrols to go. Sometimes these can kind of go a little while. I mean, we'll go back and pick up the ones that were no shows, so some of these other departments could get on the road.
Sure, we can do that.
It's been, we're giving them a solid hour to show up.
It's a very solid hour. And so we'll do that. We'll go back through the roll for those that did not indicate that they were here. Ted Brindle, Claiborne County Sheriff's Office. Ali Ba, City of Memphis. Holly McCaslin. And Ryder Cook, Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security. All right, so we have
One more.
Mr. White.
pardon?
Right.
I believe he was here.
Was it?
Mr. White.
I got him marked off as not here.
Brian White. I must have just not marked my page.
Mr. Secretary, I think we can clear out one more as well. Mr. Bird and I talked this morning, and Ms. Taylor James has not asked for continuance yet. She recently hired Mr. Bird, and I think we'd like to move that with August.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wright, I'm gonna make a motion for default certification for the ones that were read out by the secretary not being present.
Would you be amenable to, I think we can take them all at once, as a second part of that motion to move Taylor James to
And a second
August?
part to move Taylor James to August.
Commissioner Green, second.
So we have a motion for default decertification on those that are not here and to move Taylor James to August. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, so that brings us to Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Chad Garland. I know, sir, we are well acquainted from these hearings, but if you would, just for the record, identify yourself, give your rank, and tell us why we're here.
I'm Chad Smith. I work for the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security as an investigator with the Office of Professional Accountability. Trooper Chad Garland attended the Tennessee Highway Patrol's Training Academy and graduated. While going through the field training program, Trooper Garland was unable to successfully pass that program. As a result, and as a probationary employee, Trooper Garland was terminated for unable to successfully pass the field training program. Job performance issues.
Questions from the commissioners? All right, hearing none, sir, if you would have a seat, we may call you back up. Mr. Garland? Just for the record, state your name and tell us your side.
Chad Garland, I don't have any discrepancy with anything said. I had several safety violations that caused issues, so I have nothing derogatory or anything to say against that.
Mr. Garland, Commissioner Wright, what are your law enforcement admirations going forward?
Going forward, I'm actually focusing on my family farm. So I think I'm moving forward in law enforcement.
You're not planning on moving forward in law
No,
enforcement?
Was the highway patrol your first law enforcement job?
Yes, there was.
Are you interested in an agreed order for voluntary surrender, rather than being decertified for the commission by the commission?
Yes, ma'am, I'd be able to put that.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get you our contact information. We'll just reset this in next month, and if we get that agreed order in, then you won't have to worry about coming back.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
So we need a motion of the.
Commissioner Wright, make a motion on this month, depending on the agreed order.
Commissioner Wilbur, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Every time.
Our council will meet you out in the hall. Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Scott Thomas Greenwood. Mr. Greenwood was submitted for decertification based on his termination. Sir, if you would identify yourself and give us your rank or position and tell us why we are here.
I'm Trooper Jermichael Handy with Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security's Office of Professional Accountability. Mr. Greenwood, it was brought to our attention that Mr. Greenwood had a scheduled meeting with SROs to the agency shared calendar for December the 3rd, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheriff's Department. Mr. Greenwood's state vehicle was seen parked at his residence during the time frame of his scheduled meeting at 11:50 a.m. by his acting supervisor. Also to note, in this investigation, there were potential conflict and performance issues, including but not limited to Mr. Greenwood had only visited 10 schools out of approximately 52 schools in his assigned county. On June the 30th, 2024, Mr. Greenwood went to Nashville Speedway event, but did not have a parking placard or credentials, which prompted a confrontational conversation with the sheriff deputy. Mr. Greenwood went outside his area of responsibility in November of 2024 when he scheduled a meeting with a deputy without getting approval from a supervisor. Mr. Greenwood had issued submitting reports, responding to emails, and answering phone calls. Mr. Greenwood was interviewed by our office and said that he was unaware of his job duties, but there were multiple emails that showed he was informed by his special agent in charge of his job duties, as well as instructed on his job duties during the specific training he received in agent training program. It was observed that Mr. Greenwood struggled to manage his assigned responsibilities, meeting deadlines, and maintaining timely communication with his supervisors, all of which was instructed on, coached, and by policy had the knowledge regarding the importance of doing so effectively. Mr. Greenwood admitted that he had a confrontation with the deputy at Nashville Speedway event on June 30th, 2024. After the deputy refused to admit him to the event, the altercation between Mr. Greenwood and the deputy, he went outside of his chain of command and complained to that deputy's chief deputy of the sheriff's department about the incident. Additionally, through the course of the investigation, Mr. Greenwood field log showed a big gap, a 20-day gap and a 26-day gap between state fieldings. During this same time, Mr. Greenwood had listed on the agency's calendar multiple school events, investigation, and meetings in his area of responsibility and other areas. When Mr. Greenwood was interviewed about the discrepancies of his gas logs, he said that it was a year ago and he probably was at home majority of the time if nothing was going on and if you didn't know what you were doing. Through the course of the investigation, it revealed that Mr. Greenwood did not meet with the SROs in the allotted time frame listed on the operations calendar for December 3rd, 2024. The evidence supported that Mr. Greenwood's activity sheet did not align with the operation calendar, and he admitted to not leaving his home until noon to meet the SRO with the information he entered on the calendar. The evidence also showed and supported that Mr. Greenwood was informed of his job duties, of having a presence at the schools within his county, how to use the reporting system, and being in his area of responsibility. Based on the investigation, Mr. Greenwood's integrity and trust that leadership placed in him had been impairedly damaged as a result of him falsifying his activity report, deceiving management, and misusing his authority when he challenged another law enforcement officer. Based on all of this and totality of circumstances, Mr. Greenwood's appointment of executive service was expired with the agency for unbecoming conduct and unsatisfactory job performance.
Commissioner Wilbur, I have a question on his gas. So he went 20 days without gassing up his vehicle and then another 26-day gap, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And he was filing reports saying he was doing visits during that time?
Well, he showed on the agency's operation calendar that he was actually going places and conducting things in his area of responsibility.
Commissioner Wright, what would actually the job duties of Homeland Security Special Agent be? Do you know that off the top of your head?
No, sir. I will have to defer those type of questions to a representative for Homeland Security. We have a representative here if you want to know.
Yeah, if he's here, yeah. I'd let him where he's here.
Lee Dodson, I'm Assistant Commissioner with the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security and Office of Homeland Security.
Thanks for being here, sir. Can you answer that for me if you don't mind? Did you hear my question? What are the job responsibilities of the Homeland Security Special Agent position?
So several primary responsibilities for the department. I mean, a couple of years ago, before we had a big expansion with the department where we've added 100+ agents as a result of a governor's initiative to put an agent assigned to have responsibility in every county in the state and all 95 counties. Big focus of that is on schools, school security, assisting the schools with security assessments, conducting behavioral-based threat investigations, working with the safety teams, school threat assessment teams in each county or in each school district. And again, a big part of that is building relationships, working in your area of responsibility, making sure that you're visiting your schools that are in your area of responsibility. Make sure that you made first contact with the SROs that work in your county. making contact with other law enforcement agents in the county, because we don't just focus, our sole focus is not just on schools. We have critical infrastructure protection responsibilities, cybersecurity, election security protection responsibilities. We work a lot with our partners across the state, not just within, safety and homeland security with the Highway Patrol, but we work with our partners in all the law enforcement agencies, the emergency management agencies. Our goal is to make sure that we do everything we can to ensure the safety and the security of the people of Tennessee. Big part of that, again, is the folks that are in schools, the kids that are going to schools. We also have the responsibility if there's a critical incident of any kind, whether it's a natural disaster or a man-made event. Our folks are going to respond to those disasters, and they're going to order those events and work side by side with our partners across the state and do whatever we can to assist them. Again, doing what we can to ensure the safety and security of the citizens and visitors of the state. Hopefully that's not too much.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This Commissioner Green, how does an agent report his activities, say during a 30-day period?
We have every directorate within the department. So we have within the division, we have the office of, or the director of operations and school security, and we have special programs. They each have calendars, shared calendars. So you put your activity ahead of time on the calendar so your supervisor has an idea of what you're doing. It gives us in leadership a tool to be able to use to be able to report to the governor's office, to be able to report up to the commissioner the activities of the department. That's one way. The special agents in charge of the 4 regions that we have also have their staff reporting to them, usually on a weekly basis, of their activities for the week, what they've done.
So basically self-reporting?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Wilbur, are these officers allowed to work from home?
To some extent, yes.
Can you kind of elaborate on that? Are we talking like is it a set like 3 days a week, or what do you anticipate someone working from home? If they were,
I think it would be based on the tempo of the activity in their area of responsibility. I mean, if they've got reports to write, obviously most of these folks have a home office, or they work from home. Some work in, maybe in a district attorney's office. They may be in a district office with the Highway Patrol. They may, school district may provide an office for them. Emergency management agencies in some areas provide an office. So if you don't have an office to go to work from, they'll work from home, doing reports, maybe even reading policy, catching up on stuff like that. When school's in session, other activities are going on. We expect folks to be out there a lot.
So that would be my question, Director, is primarily it's basically to work out of their home, not to work in their home.
Yes.
They're actually supposed to be in the field providing some services.
Yeah, yes, sir. I mean, God forbid there's a critical incident involved in one of the schools, but our folks are trained and equipped to respond to that incident in a school or wherever it is, whether it could be, a violent incident somewhere else inside their area of responsibility. We expect our folks to respond and assist local authorities as well as being a primary responder there on top of it.
Commissioner Wright again. So if there was a incident, would that agent then be, as the other troopers and things of that nature are coming on scene, would that agent then be the one to help coordinate their responsibilities as well?
It would depend on the incident.
Depend on the incident.
So, I mean, if it's an active killer incident or something like that, the job is to stop the killing, so they would respond in. If they're the first one there, then they go in by themselves.
So I guess this position, it takes somebody with some pretty good integrity, because they're doing a lot of their own scheduling of what they're going to be doing during the day, and it could probably pretty easily be taken advantage of, it sounds like, if somebody kind of wanted to.
When folks go through the interview process, and then when they go through the lateral academy and the training process, everybody's made well aware of the expectation of, we're looking for folks that are self-starters. You don't start your day every morning, at 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. going to roll call, and your shift commander telling you this is what you're going to do for the day. You need to be prepared and plan out your day and know what you're going to be doing.
Thank you. I don't have anything.
Anybody have anything else for Mr. Dodson? Thank you, sir. Sir. Any other questions for the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security? All right, Mr. Greenwood. You would, for the record, just state your name and tell your side.
My name's Scott Greenwood. I'm here today. I was employed by the Tennessee Office of Homeland Security. First thing I want to address, I want to say this. I did this job to the best of my ability. I did nothing illegal, unethical, immoral. I didn't lie about anything. I cooperated fully with OPA. As far as the mileage on the vehicle, you had inquired about. That goes back to June 30th, 2024 to 7/20/2024. They said I had 322 miles on my vehicle. So I went somewhere. At that time, we had finished a 2-week training school. We had to sign off on the test. Same as the Highway Patrol, but we didn't get 26 weeks to do it. We got 2. After that, it is entirely up to you to get them things signed off on and tested. That was the time I was trying to get those called up. I would only leave the house if I got a call to a threat investigation. That's why the low mileage. As far as the altercation with the Wilson County deputy, that did happen. It wasn't an altercation. It was a verbal berating from him to me. I did report that to Chief Deputy Mike Hale, Wilson County, who's been a friend of mine for 30 years. Chief Deputy Hale spoke with the deputy, reprimanded him, and he later apologized to me for his behavior. I also reported it to my SAC, told her what happened, told her who I'd reported it to, and her response was, "Good job. They don't need to be talking to us that way." The following morning, she overnight, I guess, took exception with me going to an old friend to explain what happened. That was her gripe with that I should not have gone to a high-ranking official. But, you know, I reported it to her, been friends with the guy 30 years, thought nothing of it. My bi-weekly, they talk about these metrics, how things are reported. This was printed off. This goes back to the beginning of the year. It's and I got some numbers here for you. That's all contained in here. As far as school visits, they said I did 10. This right here is documentation. I visited 38 schools from the beginning of this year. I went to every lockdown drill. I went to every fire marshal visit. I was in those schools every day. I had weekly meetings with Sheriff Craddock, Lieutenant Vines, Sergeant Rager, and Captain McCoy. Every week, I spoke to them at the beginning of the week. I spoke to them at the end of the week. There was nothing that went on in Sumter County schools that I didn't know about. I was always their first call. So, but what this bi-weekly operational summary shows I was the busiest agent in the unit. It lists bullet points. Special Agent Greenwood, twice as many bullet points as any other agent. Shows everything I did. Meetings with sheriffs, meetings with school principals, met with the airports in Portland and Gallatin and the EMA director. I was one of the most active on the unit. But this is an executive service job. They can get rid of you at any time for any reason. They didn't have to have a reason. Taking an appointment. So they chose to get rid of me. That's their choice. But like I said, I didn't do anything illegal, immoral, or unethical. I didn't lie to them. I'm not going to lie to you. My direct supervisor is here, who I worked for many, many months. He would be glad to come up and give a few words if you'd like to hear it. He knows the facts of this case, and he knows. I mean, I answer to him every day, so he knows I was working. But as far as you know, an old supervisor going by and saying your vehicle's at your house, that's not the big gotcha everybody thinks it is. There's agents at their house right now, all over the state, doing reports. Like I said, I had to sit at home doing them general orders that were never ending. But I did finally finish those, and then I got back out in the field, and the mileage on my vehicle went back up. So in those general orders, there's not a general order in there that says you have to put X amount of miles on your vehicle. Nobody ever says that to you. If you compare me to any other agent of the state, you're going to see the same discrepancy. Some week they're not going to have many miles on their vehicle. Some week they're going to have 5,000. This depends on what the week brings. And as far as our job responsibilities, you just heard some of it, but and there's still agents in the field that I talked to. There's one telling me 2 weeks ago, he said, I still don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I was like, well, you just better get in your schools. Apparently that's the most important thing. But visiting schools over and over and over again, my wife's a school teacher, and she told me, she said, principals don't like that. You're disruptive to the school when you go in there. So with 52 schools in Sumner County, luckily I had enough to where I wouldn't aggravate the same schools over and over again. I could move around. It's very upsetting for the principal and all when the state fire marshal shows up and then I show up with them. So we try to keep it as low key and positive as we can with principals. But I mean, I've got stacks and stacks and stacks of business cards from SROs up there and principals. So I did exactly what I was required to do, go in there and build a team. And that's what we did. And Sheriff Craddock and Captain McCoy, they give me rave reviews. They loved having me up there. That's all I've got.
Commissioner Green, Mr. Greenwood.
Yes, sir.
Where'd you work before you went to Homeland Security?
I was I started in law enforcement in '97. Worked at Lebanon and Wilson County. And I went to work in the state. I was a bomb and arson agent for about 4 or 5 years. I was a railroad detective for 11. Then I worked at Ag Crimes for 4 years. And then was recruited to come to Homeland Security. Was kind of reluctant because it is an executive service job. You know, my immediate supervisor, he told me I was a great agent, did a great job. But somebody higher up apparently didn't like the way I was operating. So now I'm gone.
So what are your plans now?
I'll get back into law enforcement somewhere.
That's all I need. Thank you.
Commissioner Wright, I'm just trying to read through some of the OPA stuff and when you put stuff on the calendar that you was going to be doing, if that changed, how would that be documented? Because it looks like some things were scheduled that you should have been at, and they came by and you're not there.
And what I explained to OPA early on, they just wanted stuff on. You had to get something on the calendar. So if your intentions are to go up and meet with SROs, you would put that on the calendar and you allot yourself some time. If something else comes up, that changes. You don't necessarily go back into the calendar and change it. Like if I put on the calendar, I'm going to go meet with Sheriff Craddock at 12 to 1, and I call Sheriff Craddock and say, hey, can you meet with me today? Scott, I'm tied up on something. Come up to my office 3 o'clock. So you wait around, you go up to meet him at 3 o'clock, but on the calendar, it's going to say 1 o'clock. That problem got rectified a little bit, and that we just stopped putting stuff like that on the calendar, unless it was a meeting that, was absolutely set in stone, that you were going at 9 a.m. to this particular school. There were times I put on the calendar, I was going to, Bethpage Elementary. I get to Bethpage Elementary, for whatever reason, the SRO is not there that day. The day that happened, I talked to the principal. She said the SRO is gone. And I said, well, I'll sit in the parking lot and I'll be your SRO for the day. So I ended up sitting in the parking lot all day long until school got it. But that's the calendar was quite a task early on, but that later on got worked out.
Commissioner Wilbur, so are you, in this paperwork, it says SAC Bancroft reported that you only visited 10 out of the 49 schools in the
Yeah.
county. Are you saying that is
Oh, that is way inaccurate. Ma'am, the metrics right there, this is from January till April, the first 4 months.
Who created that document?
That's John Cronlow.
Would you like to see it?
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Wright, while she's looking at that, I'm gonna ask you another question. So if you had put on your calendar, you're gonna meet an SRO from this time to this time, as you said, you got there and then they were whatever, and did you go back and change that calendar? How was it then reported to the?
I did, yes, because I mean, it's a Microsoft calendar. It's really just to give the bosses a heads up on what you're doing, so they know where everybody's at. The weekly metrics, which you submit every week to your supervisor, and then they complete the monthly metrics. So, you know, I'm on the phone with my boss 2 or 3 times a day, telling him, hey, I'm doing this, I'm going here, I'm doing this. At the end of the week, I send him an email of everything I did, and then he compiles that and puts it in the metrics. He emailed that to me. I read through it and I was shocked. I said, I was doing more work than anybody on the unit. I had 7 criminal cases, mainly threats to life investigation, where somebody threatens to shoot up school or kill a bunch of people. All my cases were solved. I made arrests on all of them. I took all of them to court and all were convicted through Ray Whitley's office. So every one of those people got a mental health evaluation and they got taken care of. I couldn't have done my job any better. I mean, we're just kind of splitting hairs over what's on the calendar. Like I said, and this is a relatively, I know it goes back to 9/11, but the way Homeland Security is run now is a new outfit. It's only been in existence for 2 years. It changes weekly. They'll even tell you yourself, we're still building this plane as we fly. You would think they would give some guys a little bit of grace on about what they're supposed to be doing. They don't. If you don't do what you're expected to do, I mean, you're going to get on their bad side pretty quick. So that's what I did, but I did it to the best of my ability. Like I said, every case I worked was resolved, every single one of them. The only one I didn't make an arrest on was Antioch High School, because the shooter was dead. So everything else got prosecuted.
So this Commissioner Green again, so the calendar is really a projection of what you plan to do.
Yes, what you plan to do.
Your supervisor tracks your actual performance.
Yes, and when you go out, I mean, you're especially at a job like Homeland Security, you can get sidetracked pretty quick. I mean, many times I was heading down 109 to Sumner County and the phone would ring and we'd have a threat case in Hendersonville, and I immediately go to the most important thing. When we forget about school visits. But I was in Sumner County every day unless I was training. I tried to go, my plan was, after John Cronlow took over, I got to get to Sumner County and do one meaningful thing per day. I need to either see an SRO, a principal, or meet with a sheriff. And that would usually turn into 5 or 6 things. Not all those go on the calendar. Just whatever your intentions are going into it. But when you're out there, it's kind of like patrol work. It can change. You go left at the next red light or right. It's up to you. And, things change, but my main thing was to get in to meet all the SROs. And like I said, from January this year, I went through my notes and through the metrics, and I visited 38 schools just in 3 months, which is probably higher than most agents in the state.
Your former supervisor is here, so
John Cronlow, yes.
I would like to just hear from him. Anything you can add to the discussion, sir?
Commissioner Wright, Wilbur, sorry. Before he come forward, I do want to add that, but when this investigation started, Mr. Carablo was not his direct supervisor. That document that y'all are saying, that was not given to us or provided to us during the course of this investigation. That document existed after the investigation started. And even after his first interview, that's when his activities started to pick up. So I'm not sure where he's talking about these 38 schools and all that. That wasn't privy to us. Also, his former supervisor, the special agent in charge, Bancroft, that's how the investigation started. So his activity wasn't picking up prior to his supervisor change. Thank you.
I would just like to add, after agent school, I started in June of 2024. I wasn't told to be in schools, that we need to be in visiting schools until about October of 2024. So that's when the schools visits started. No, we went through the summer, went through a lot of training. Finally, one day, Jeremy Rich, I said, what do they want us doing during the course of the day? He said, just be in your schools, get in your schools, go visit the schools. That was the first I'd heard of it, was around October. So that's when the school visits started picking up. And as you can see, I visited quite a few schools in that time. I did what was expected of me. Thank you.
My name is John Corallo. May I make a brief statement quickly? Scott Greenwood, I am not his friend. I've never been to his house. I don't know. I've never met his wife. I've known him. When I looked at my phone, I had his address in there as when he was with the railroad police. So I must have met him in a past life. But I'm not here as his friend. I'm here as a former supervisor of his. A little bit about myself. I was in the Army for 3 years. I worked on the Ithaca, New York Police for 21 years, retired as a deputy police chief. I've been to Afghanistan as a police advisor for 2 years, 8 months. And I worked at the Nashville MTA, and I've been, or not been with, but I was with the Tennessee Department of Safety for 12 and a half years. I started out under Commissioner David Perkey, and I was working critical infrastructure, key resources. Then I moved to the Tennessee Fusion Center, where I worked for about 8 years or so as the co-director at TBI headquarters. And then abruptly I was pulled out to go on the road and supervise Davidson County, Sumner County, Wilson County, Smith County, and Trousdale County for the Tennessee Office of Homeland Security. So I have a lot of answers to, you're talking about calendars and things like that, but I'll stop there. I just want to give a brief introduction because I do have, I think, a fairly good law enforcement background. And I'm here to tell you, I can see when I've sat through all these other hearings that the people here can see what the truth is. You have sharp questions, and I'm ready for that because that's what we're after here is the truth.
Well, I'll just ask the question. At what date did you start supervising?
Well, my first actual date was around January 6th. I had been given the position out on the road around mid-December, but I took Christmas and New Year's off.
Commissioner Liggins, before you started supervising, did you have any communication with his previous supervisor?
No, the first communication about Scott Greenwood and this whole discipline thing occurred in January of this year. And it started out with Sarah Bancroft providing me with a memo on him and saying that, we've got some issues with Scott Greenwood. And I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. And I said, give me 30 days and I'll fix it. And she was talking about other things that had come up and wanted to turn them over to the Office of Professional Accountability. And I was like, we should address these things and get him where you want him. Because that's what our job is. We're supervisors. We're not here to, wait and find something that you think is wrong and all of a sudden turn somebody into internal affairs.
You have access to his previous supervisor's files or any kind of documents, write-ups, anything?
All I had was the memo that I was given, but I did do his individual performance plan. And when I first came out, he was due for his first interim. So Sarah Bancroft wanted to collaborate on that. We did it, gave him, some direction. And then the second interim came out, and he was meeting standards just before he got his expiration of his appointment. And I feel like it was very abrupt. And that document right there, how that comes about is every 2 weeks, we need to send in what the activity is on the whole team. I put down what mine, I actually work Smith County on top of supervising, so I have to be in the schools too. But people are at their houses, people are told, oh, you can put down first regular in Edison, which that translates to be you are out doing something on the first shift, as opposed to AWS. When I kept my records, I was very particular to put down exactly what I was doing, where I was, but there's a lot of misinformation that was given out. You're taking an office that had like 13 commissioned people. If you went back to when I was doing it with Commissioner Perkey, and we were liaisons, traveled all over the state, totally different mission. Now you're cramming all these duties onto people and they don't understand. When I first came out on the road, I said, okay, I got to get smart. I got to get smart quick. So I found where all these documents were that, the consent to search, rights waivers forms, and protective intelligence interview forms, all these different things that you had to have. And I got them downloaded. I went to Staples out of my own pocket and created a binder. Then we all sat down and we had our first team meeting. I sent emails out to all my people to give them that paperwork. And they're like, we haven't seen this before. Well, they might have saw it in training. That's possible, but it's a flash. When you're drinking from a fire hose in 2 weeks of training and you've got HR people coming in, you've got all these other distractions going on, people aren't going to catch on. There's really no field training program that goes on. When this expansion was going to happen, Greg Mays, the deputy director, said, I'm going to rely on all you legacy agents to try to help these people. And I've always, tried to be somebody that can help. But, I think that this has been a bad situation here. Go ahead, sir. I think you
No, I'm looking at something.
It's a bad situation, but Scott's always done what I've asked him to do, answers the phone. I have no problems with anything that he's done in the time, and I think he's doing a good job. And certainly I don't see why he's here. This personally, I don't see why he got brought here for this.
Well, number one, it's required.
Okay, well, thank you for answering that.
And I think the Department of Safety's policy and Homeland Security's policy is anybody that they release is to decertify. And they could, say I think it's what they've told us in the past. I'm sitting here, who provided this actual report here? Did this come from Greenwood or did this come from you?
This is from me.
So this was during his time with you or just shortly after, because it carries a little bit of December. Their investigation period, this was post the investigation period, as Trooper Handy said. And I can see it's a little bit different. They're talking about one time frame and you're talking about another time frame. So that's a little bit of a discrepancy of two things that we're seeing here. But based on what I've heard, I'm going to make a motion for no action.
I'll second, but I have a question to Homeland Security. So the memorandum says an expiration of your executive service. Is this a termination or is just his contract is no longer in place?
I would have to ask our general counsel's office, but it's termination.
So the question is, if it's not termination, why are we here?
It is. I
It is a
mean,
termination.
he's employed under an executive appointment.
It is a termination.
It's.
Still second in the election.
All right, so we have a motion for no action and a second. Any further discussion amongst the commissioners? I hear none. We'll take the vote. All those in favor of the motion for no action, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Hearing none. Motion carries. And do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thanks, Gavin.
Moving on, our final matter on the agenda is Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Vincent Turissy. And I know that Counselor, there was an issue with your client having COVID today. So if you just explain to the commission, you know, I think it's already been explained, but just for the sake of doing it at the time when it comes up on the agenda.
Gentlemen, retain my services.
Can you identify yourself?
I'm sorry. Attorney Jack or Mr. Turissy. Gentlemen, retain my services. I had initially, in all honesty with the commission, as I think all of you know, I'm fairly straightforward when I come up here. I asked for a continuance so that I could get the complete file and go through everything. I was informed that he had already had one continuance. I said, okay, started working on it, getting it ready. Yesterday, I called him to ask a few other questions, and he informed me that he had tested positive for COVID. That time, I called Mr. Creed, informed him that I was going to ask for a continuance because of him being ill. I will submit to you that when I spoke to him on the phone, he sounded terrible. He forwarded me a photograph of a COVID test he had taken that was positive, and I advised him to not come up here in this crowded room with everybody when he was testing positive for COVID, that I would request a continuance. So that's on me. If the commission feels it's bad, I ask you not to hold it against my client and move it to the August agenda.
Commissioner Wright, I'm gonna make a motion that we do move it to the August agenda, but I'm also gonna throw out there, Mr. Bird, next time, we won't do it after August, that if he's sick, whatever, maybe get him on video or something, but
yes,
we'll address it. And it needs to come to a conclusion in August.
I believe we will be prepared to do that at that time, sir.
Thank you.
We have a motion to reset this to August.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion amongst the commissioners? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Hearing none. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Wanted to just extend an opportunity to anybody remaining in the gallery for public comment. Is there any public comment?
We're sorry, did we not have any, Mr. James? Well, I missed that one.
That Taylor James, we moved that one to August. That was the
That was in that motion. That was in my motion earlier.
Yes, sir.
That
was a while. Cheap. Hearing or seeing no request for public comment, the meeting is adjourned.